was it Buddha who said, the beginning to happiness is wanting nothing. To actually eliminate desire, to remove desire, to want nothing, is that is when you will find happiness.
My God, happiness sounds really boring.
It does sound a little boring. but that might be considered extreme in Western society. But the elimination of want, the elimination of that, I've got to have this.
Maybe the elimination of want is in already having. So we go right back to try to get everything so that I don't want anything.
So Steve Jobs is...
yes.
Of course he didn't want
Steve Jobs was happy until he died.
He was happy until he died.
Yeah. Do you think he's happy?
Here's what I think. I don't think ongoing, consistent, personal happiness is even possible. I mean, are you happy 7 days a week?
No, I think a lobotomy maybe. if they stuck a needle in a certain place and I was just like sitting around drooling on myself, smiling, maybe.
I definitely think we can get to a better place in life, but I've been in places in my life where life sucked really bad and there wasn't an ounce of happiness. But I've never been in a place in all of my life where there was just constant happiness.
Yeah.
And maybe that's just me, but no matter how good it's been in my world, there's never been a time where I haven't had to fight depression on some level.
Right.
Yeah.
It just comes that's the thing about, I've fought depression most of my life on smaller levels, but the last 3 years on a huge level, coming through the crisis that I went through with my family and my career. But I've found with depression, it doesn't even need a reason to show up. Like it doesn't have to give you A, B, and C to show up in your life.
Absolutely nothing can change from this day to this day. But on this day, life was great and you were whistling. And the next day,
it's like
nothing
happened. Like all of a sudden, I'm just fighting this discouragement and depression. And I have learned some things that, elevates you up from certain levels of just, life that feels like it sucks. But I have not found the place where it, doesn't suck ever so often.
So even Tony Robbins goes to bed at night and goes, I'm bigger than everybody else.
Oh, yeah. If anyone, you guys tell me, I'm being transparent here.
Dude, there's absolutely no reason or rhyme for depression, I don't think. For me, circumstantially. Your circumstances cannot change at all, and you can be really happy one day and depressed the next.
I think that's why it's depression, because if there was a reason for it, it would be sadness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And happiness comes from the word happening.
Mm-hmm.
And no matter how good things are, there's always something else that's going to happen.
Yeah.
That changes your happiness.
Right.
Or your level of it.
To even have a discussion about happiness and to think that there's some plane that we're eventually going to get on that is just going to be amazing. Maybe when we get to heaven, for those of us that believe in heaven, I don't know where you guys stand on that, but I'm hoping one day that might be it. That everything might be really cool all the time.
You think generationally, like you go all the way back in time and you look at history and the hundreds and thousands of years that have gone by, do you think we're happy? Is it collectively, do you think we're happier now or less happy?
I don't know. What do you think, Mike?
I don't know. I think there's probably a blissful ignorance before that could be considered happiness because you don't know any better. I think people like my grandma or maybe my great-grandma's generation probably didn't have much, but they didn't realize they didn't have much.
Yeah.
So they were happy with what they I think they were happier with what they had, whereas with us, like you said before, it's always something. I got to get something else. I got to get the promotion. First, I got to get the job. Then I got to get the promotion. Then I got to get the next promotion. Then I got to get a better job. Mm-hmm. And I don't think we ever take the time to be happy where we are, because we're never satisfied where we are.
Yeah. I mean, when I went to Africa, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, and we went into the jungles of Malawi, and we're being missionaries and doing our stuff, and get back there, and these kids are like, they got no shoes. They're real African families that have nearly nothing, living in huts. And they're just laughing and smiling and jumping and having fun. And I'm thinking, man, you guys are happier than I am. And you got nothing, man. You got no air conditioning. You got no car. You got to go hunt your food down. And, man, you were having the time of your life. And I was like, man, I should stay over here and hang out with these kids. So I think you're right. I think it's totally subjective. I think, probably they were happier than us. Mm-hmm. They 500 years ago, or so. I don't know. I think for me, the greatest joy or happiness that really lasts for me is in relationships, and the deeper I push into my friendships and relationships, and when I say deeper, I mean like being honest and being transparent, right. And if life sucks, being able to tell somebody you care about and you love, a friend, a loved one, a family member, this is what sucks right now. Like, this is what I'm dealing with, or giving them permission to do that. And I wasn't always that way. I've had to learn that. I've had to develop that skill in my life, I guess, of just being honest and allowing other people to be honest. But that, for me, has brought a lot more joy in my life. It's, at least life feels better. It feels more real and authentic.
Chris and I were talking last week, and I can't remember what we were talking about, but I jokingly said, I have nothing to hide, depending on who's looking.
Right.
And we laughed, and then we thought about it, like, hey, that's actually pretty good. So I posted on Facebook. But I thought about it, and I am really thankful that I have very few. Mm-hmm. I have some, very few. Chris, one of them, maybe the only one. Somebody in my life that I literally have nothing to hide. Yeah. There's nothing that I could say or do that would shock him. Mm-hmm. He has seen me at my worst, and he's still there. And I can't be that way with everybody. It'd be nice if I could and just not care, but the society we live in. But it's good to have somebody that you can just be who you are.
It's a safe place. We all need a safe place to go.
Yeah.
Somewhere where we feel safe, where you feel like we can be vulnerable.
Yeah.
And, the whole intimacy thing, as far as seeing, allowing people to see who you really are. That's tough. And I don't know if it's more about youth when you're young, and then the older you get, I think hopefully the more vulnerable you feel like you can become, and that you kind of realize that, look, I'm going to just be me. I'm going to throw it out there. And if you like me or if you don't, I really don't care.
Yeah.
Because there's enough people in this world that, somebody, I'm going to connect with somebody.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And where I can be a safe place for them, they can be a safe place for me. Mm-hmm. Where, I can actually be vulnerable.
Yeah, I know for me, there was just so much hiding for so many years, and I look at even my kids today, my boys, and being able today to have real conversations with them and say, this is what's going on in my world, or this is kind of what has happened in my life, and being really honest about that has brought an amazing depth of relationship with each of them, where they can tell me their stuff and stuff that they are working through and stuff that they need help with, and they would have never told me that before, and so there's there's such a joy in those relationships today because of the honesty and because of the ability to be genuine. So we all need that, and we can't have that with everybody. It's like you said, you've got to choose wisely who you share your information with. But there's somebody in our life that we can tell, and somebody that we need to.
And that's one of the things that can hurt so much in the breakup of a relationship, whether it's a dating relationship or marriage or a business partnership or whatever. If you find somebody that you believe to be a safe place, and you're being vulnerable with them, and then all of a sudden they turn, that hurts worse than anybody that you just knew was an enemy.
Yeah.
Because if you know somebody's an enemy, you're not going to confide in them. You're not going to talk. But when somebody really knows you, and you take that risk and you take that chance, and then they turn and they use all that stuff against you, that hurts.
Well, you've just got to make sure you get a quality of dirt. So you share your dirt, and
make sure your bucket is full of dirt. I've got my bucket full.
Okay, I'm not going any further unless you come up. So. Because everyone's got dirt. We just got different brands, different kinds. So.
Well, I think it's difficult. I don't know if it's more or less difficult for men or women, but I know I can't speak for women because I'm not one. But I'm a dude. But it's for a guy. It's pretty tough to get to that place where you can really trust somebody and open up.
You eventually get to a place like, obviously, you guys are good friends, but you get to some level where there's trust here. You just kind of feel it, and I'm the same way. I've probably got maybe 2 guys like that in my life, and then my counselor. The great thing about a counselor is she's got to shut up. You can sue him, man. So.
That's right.
I love the counselor, man, because you can just tell him anything. But yeah, friends the true friends are few, and it's a trust that is forged over time, and it's a mutual trust. It's never one-sided. That's why I say you got to have equal dirt. Tell me what you're going through, and I'll tell you what I'm going through, and one of my best friends is in Dallas still. I mean, he was the one guy out of my. There were a couple, but he was probably the most aggressive out of my church world. That even though they told my church don't reach out to Blaine, he just said, "Screw you, I'm going to reach out to him," and he wouldn't quit on me, and I wouldn't be here today without him. I mean, he just was like a hound dog on me, just texting and calling. And I told him no, I didn't want to meet with him probably 4 or 5 times before I finally just gave in and said okay, and turned out to be the best friend that I could ever ask for. And not only did he walk me through my crap, but over time, I figured out he had a bunch too, and I got to help him.
That's great.
And so that, like I said, those are the relationships for me that bring joy. That get that happiness quotient back to a level that I'm going to see another day.